The fluorescent lights of the boardroom hummed, a sterile drone that filled the silence between quarterly projections. Angela kept her gaze fixed on the spreadsheet, though the numbers blurred. Beside her, Devin leaned back in his leather chair, his presence a heavy weight that seemed to pull the oxygen from the room. He didn't look at her, but she felt the heat of him. Devin tapped a gold pin against his chin. His voice cut through the hum, deep and resonant. The projections for the third quarter are optimistic, but lacks rigor. Angela, you handled the data entry. Angela straightened, her spine clicking. I followed the parameters provided by the regional office, Mr. Sterling. Parameters are for people who can't think for themselves. A few colleagues chuckled. Angela felt a flush creep up her neck, a mixture of shame and an electric current that sparked in her gut. Correct it by 5, Devin said, finally turning to look at her. His dark eyes held a flicker of something that wasn't professional critique. As the meeting adjourned, the room emptied into a flurry of chatter and shuffling papers. Angela lingered, pretending to organize her notes. Once the door clicked shut, Devin stood. He didn't approach her, he simply waited. Angela reached for her phone, her thumb hovering over the messaging app. She typed 3 words and hit send. Update on high heels. Devin's phone buzzed on the table. He glanced at the screen, a ghost of a smile touching his lips. He typed back a single time and location. My place. 8. High heels. The drive to his penthouse felt like a descent into another world. The city lights blurred into streaks of neon. By the time Angela stepped out of the elevator, her heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. She wore a conservative charcoal dress, but beneath it, her skin prickled with anticipation. The door opened before she could knock. Devin stood there, his tie loosened, the top button of his shirt undone. He didn't step aside to let her in. He blocked the threshold, his frame filling the space. You're 3 minutes late, he said. The traffic on 5th was. I didn't ask for an excuse. Angela dropped her gaze to his polished shoes. I'm sorry, sir. Better. He stepped back, allowing her entry into the minimalist expanse of the apartment. Glass walls revealed a sprawling skyline, but the interior was all shadows and dark velvet. The air smelled of sandalwood and expensive bourbon. Strip, he commanded, walking toward the lounge. Everything. Leave it in a pile by the door. Angela's breath hitched. She moved slowly, the fabric of her dress sliding down her skin with a soft hiss. She felt exposed, the cool air of the penthouse raising goosebumps on her arms. When she stood naked, trembling slightly, she looked at him. Devin sat on the edge of a low black sofa, watching her with a predatory stillness. He pointed to the floor at his feet. Kneel. She obeyed, the cold marble pressing into her knees. She looked up at him, her eyes wide and searching. Did you think about the parameters today? He asked, his voice a low rumble. Yes, sir. And did you enjoy being corrected in front of the board? I did. Devin reached out, his large hand cupping her jaw. His thumb traced the line of her lower lip, pulling it down slightly. The contrast of his deep brown skin against her pale complexion was a visual symphony that made her dizzy. You crave the structure, don't you? The knowledge that someone else holds the leash. Please, she whispered. Please what, Angela? Be specific. Please tell me what to do. He released her abruptly and stood up, walking to a sideboard where a set of leather restraints lay. The metallic clink of the buckles echoed in the quiet room. Hands behind your back. She complied, the leather biting into her wrists as he tightened the straps. He moved with a clinical precision, his touch firm and devoid of hesitation. He pushed her forward, forcing her chest against the cool surface of the sofa. You were distracted during the meeting, he murmured, his breath hot against her ear. I could see your mind drifting. You weren't thinking about the projections. You were thinking about this. I couldn't help it, she gasped. I don't want your help. I want your obedience. He retrieved a thin cane from a velvet-lined box. He tapped it against his palm, a rhythmic, menacing sound. 10 for the distraction. 5 for the tardiness. Do you understand the tally? 15, sir. Count them for me. If you lose track, we start over. The first strike was a sudden, searing line of heat across her backside. Angela arched her back, a sharp cry escaping her lips. 1, she shouted. The second strike followed instantly. 2. By the 7th, her skin was flaming, her breath coming in ragged sobs. The pain was a focal point, stripping away the corporate facade, the social expectations, the fear of discovery. Here, in the dark, she wasn't a junior analyst and he wasn't a senior executive. They were simply two forces locked in a dance of power. 9, she screamed, her voice cracking. The final strike landed with a heavy thud. 10. He didn't stop. He continued the count, the strikes landing with rhythmic cruelty. 11. 12. As the 13th strike landed, a sudden, sharp panic flared in Angela's chest. The intensity had climbed too high, the pain crossing the line from pleasure to genuine distress. Her breathing became erratic, her vision blurring. "High heels," she gasped. The silence that followed was instantaneous. Devin stopped mid-swing. He didn't move for a heartbeat. Then he stepped back, the cane clicking as he set it aside. He reached down and unbuckled the restraints with steady fingers. As soon as her hands were free, Angela collapsed forward, sobbing into the velvet upholstery. Devin didn't offer a platitude. He didn't apologize. He simply sat beside her and pulled her into his lap, wrapping his massive arms around her. He held her with a surprising tenderness, his chin resting on the top of her head. "Breathe, Angela. Just breathe." She clung to him, her fingers digging into the fabric of his shirt. The transition from the dominant master to the protective anchor was the part of their arrangement she loved most. "I'm okay," she whispered after a few minutes, her voice shaking. It got too much." "That's why we have the word," he said, his voice soft but firm. "The moment you say it, the world stops. Do you trust me?" "With everything." He kissed her forehead, the scent of sandalwood enveloping her. "Go wash up. I'll pour us some wine." As Angela stood in the shower, letting the warm water soothe her skin, her phone buzzed on the vanity. It was a notification from a group chat with her colleagues. They were discussing a weekend brunch to celebrate the end of the quarter. She looked at the screen, then at the red marks on her skin. The duality of her life felt like a tightrope walk over a canyon. If anyone knew, if the board found out about the nature of her relationship with Mr. Sterling, the fallout would be catastrophic. The racial dynamics, the power imbalance, the professional breach, it was a recipe for a public execution. She stepped out of the shower and dried herself, dressing in a silk robe. When she returned to the living room, Devin was standing by the window, 2 glasses of deep red Cabernet in his hands. "The brunch," she said, taking a glass. "What brunch?" "The team wants to get together this weekend." Devin turned, his expression unreadable. "And I don't know if I can go. I'll be sore." Devin walked toward her, his presence once again filling her periphery. He took the glass from her hand and set it on the table. "You will go. You will wear a dress that covers everything, and you will act as though you despise my every word in public." "I can do that," she whispered. "Good. Because the thrill isn't just in the room, Angela. It's in the secret. It's in the way you look at me across a table, knowing exactly what I did to you 2 nights prior." He leaned in, his lips brushing against hers. "Now tell me, what is the code for our next meeting?" "High heels," she murmured. "And what does it mean when you say it in this room?" "It means stop. It means I'm safe." "Correct." The following week was a grueling exercise in restraint. In the office, Devin was a tyrant. He tore apart her reports and pushed her to the brink of exhaustion. To the rest of the staff, he was a demanding boss with an impossible standard. To Angela, every sharp critique was a coded caress. On Thursday, a new intern, a bright-eyed young man named Marcus, began shadowing Angela. He was observant, perhaps too observant. "You seem really stressed, Angela," Marcus said as they walked toward the break room. "Mr. Sterling is a nightmare. I don't know how you handle him without snapping." Angela forced a laugh, her heart skipping. "You just get used to the rhythm. He wants perfection." "It seems like more than that," Marcus mused, glancing back at Devin's closed office door. "The way he looks at you, it's like he's studying you. It's almost intense." Angela felt a cold sweat break across her neck. "He's just thorough." As they entered the break room, Angela's phone vibrated in her pocket. She stepped away to check the message. "High heels. Friday, midnight." She felt a surge of adrenaline that nearly knocked her over. She typed back a quick confirmation. Friday arrived with a torrential downpour that turned the city into a blurred watercolor of gray and black. Angela arrived at the penthouse drenched, her hair clinging to her cheeks. Devin was waiting for her, but this time, he wasn't in the lounge. He was in the bedroom, the lights dimmed to a deep crimson. A single chair sat in the center of the room, facing away from the door. "Strip and wait," he commanded. Angela obeyed, her movements hurried. She stood naked in the red light, the silence of the room heavy and expectant. "Sit," he said, gesturing to the chair. She sat, her skin humming. Devin approached her, not with the cane, but with a blindfold of black silk. He tied it securely, plunging her into a world of sound and touch. "I heard you were talking to the intern," he whispered, his voice dangerously low. Angela froze. He was asking about the workflow. "Were you?" She felt the cold slide of metal against her collarbone. A collar. He snapped it shut around her neck, the click sounding like a gavel. "You are mine, Angela. In this room, you are nothing but what I allow you to be. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." The world thinks we are opposites. They think we are a collision of worlds that should never touch. Let them think that. Let them wonder why you tremble when I walk past your desk. He spent the next hour exploring her senses, using ice and heat, feathers and rough linen. Without her sight, every touch was amplified, every word a command that echoed in the void. He pushed her to the edge of her endurance, teasing her, denying her, and then granting her release with a sudden, overwhelming intensity. As the night wound down, they lay tangled in the sheets, the rain still drumming against the glass walls. "Do you ever worry?" Angela asked, her voice small. Devin shifted, pulling her closer. "Worry about what?" "That we'll get caught. That the taboo will be too much." Devin was silent for a long time. He traced the line of the collar still resting around her neck. "The danger is the fuel, Angela. If this were easy, if this were normal, you wouldn't crave it this much. The forbidden nature of us is what makes the surrender possible." "I know," she whispered. Sometimes I feel like I'm living two lives." "You aren't," he said, kissing her shoulder. "You're just finally living a real one." He sat up, reaching for his phone on the nightstand. He typed a message and sent it to her, even though she was lying right beside him. Her phone chimed. "High heels. Next Tuesday." Angela smiled, closing her eyes as she drifted toward sleep, the weight of the collar a comforting reminder of exactly where she belonged.